Hey, Simon Chisellian, Voice of Reason. Wanted to talk today about something that has been going on in the news. Obviously, everyone's been pushing Putin's buttons, and he threw in a big missile to make a statement, I suppose. Now, I wanted to get some clarity on this because everyone's freaking out and going, "Oh my God, a nuclear missile has been, has been targeting Ukraine." It's actually not totally true. So what he has escalated it, and we can understand why he's escalated it. Now he keeps on talking about, this is Putin, keeps on talking about that he's going to go nuclear. That isn't going to happen. Okay, that is just not going to happen. Anyone that throws in a nuclear weapon here is got some really big questions to answer. There's a couple of reasons for that, and I know a lot about this because when I was in intelligence, one of my things was to know where the nukes were and to be able to deal with certain things. Anyway, so there is never in the history of it forever been a situation where a nuclear missile has actually been fired with a nuclear warhead on it, and that warhead is then exploded. It just doesn't happen, and it won't happen. Okay, so the only time that nuclear weapons could be used in this scenario is if they're tactical nuclear weapons, which is a totally different delivery means. Okay. So they use an intercontinental ballistic missile. Now this is very different to the ballistic missiles that have been used in the Middle East and have been used in Ukraine probably since the start of the war. Ballistic missiles start at one part of the continent and then just go over in a trajectory and then blow up on another one, right? That's what a ballistic missile does. An intercontinental ballistic missile is different. So that looks like a big rocket that goes right up into the sky, and it goes into the stratosphere, okay, and then literally almost goes into orbit, and then it breaks apart and actually splits, and it has multiple warheads, and they look like that, okay, and then they split up, and you can actually direct those warheads independently. So they're very difficult to shoot down. You can't just shoot them down like with a normal Patriot system or anything like that. So they go up in the air, and then when they're absolutely in the stratosphere, then they drop these warheads down. So you just cannot, I don't think there's any even an operation to be able to do that. If you can catch the missile in its trajectory in orbit, and that's what the basis of Reagan's Star Wars system was, then you have an opportunity to catch it. Now, one of the things I heard was that the Americans didn't detect it. I mean, that's just simply not right. Okay, so when these things go off, satellites will detect the launch, but they can also detect whether a nuclear munition is actually on that launch as well. As soon as it does, the Americans have like a dead man's handle system. So as soon as that happens, then, I mean, we'll be in World War III now, if that happened. Okay, because if a nuclear-tipped missile is fired, American response is automatic. It actually doesn't even need the say-so of the president. It automatically creates a counter-strike. Okay, because you only got like literally less than 20 minutes. So the weapon that was used in Ukraine was an intercontinental ballistic missile. It obviously looked as if it had multiple warheads, but these were conventional warheads, high explosive warheads. So Putin's made his point. Yeah, he's using nuclear capable missiles, but not nuclear missiles. And he's shown that he can, with those missiles, using conventional munitions, strike pretty much anywhere in Ukraine. That's very clear as what has gone on. And I think this is his halfway house by not going nuclear, but just saying he could. Right? So that's really where all this situation is. So there's nothing really to fear. I think that this is in response to Biden's decision to actually allow long-range missiles into Russia, and he's doing it on the way out the door. I mean, it's totally irresponsible. I mean, you're just setting up the next administration for a failure, or trying to stop peace talks, because as we know, Putin has already been talking to Trump about creating a peace, and probably on day one after the inauguration, and I think that will probably happen anyway. So this is Putin's big fuck you to Biden. It's not a big fuck you to America. And he's saying, I know what you're doing. I know you want to try and scupper these peace talks. I know that you want to keep the war in Ukraine going. I know you want to keep the gravy train going for all your donors. But I'm not having any of it. That's essentially what Putin is saying here. So as I said in previous videos, as soon as Putin will come to the table for peace, because he can't go on like this. And you don't win wars with big missiles. You just simply don't. The only way you win wars is to put a soldier with a rifle on a piece of ground and to hold it. That's the only way you win a war. You don't win wars just by blowing shit up, right? So that's really what's going to happen. Putin will come to the table. He'll sue for peace. He'll try and get as much of a deal as he wants. But then he's going to be talking with the big deal maker, you know, who's Trump. So, you know, I would like to see that Crimea goes back to Ukraine, Kursk goes back to Russia, and that the Donetsk and Luhansk area probably stays in Russia's hands. I don't see that changing because the populace are largely Russian anyway. If that's the cost of peace, and then of course the other stipulation will be no NATO membership for Ukraine with a security guarantee from Russia. And I think that's doable. Ukraine will probably join the EU so that it becomes a commercial member, but it won't become a military member. And I think that would satisfy Russia. It would stop the war in Ukraine, stop all of these young men from dying on both sides. You know, there's like nearly 1,500 people a day are dying in this, and it's been going on for 1,000 days. So just work it out how many people are actually dying. So it would be nice to see peace breaking out all over. So that's Simon Trizelian. That's my thoughts on the Russian missile crisis. I'll speak to you soon. Out to you. Bye bye now.